Welcome to the Mind of Business Success podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Kramer. Our guest today is Leah Pardee. Let's talk about breath work and getting you into alignment with your thriving business. Welcome to the show, Leah.
Thank you for having me, Alicia. I'm so grateful to be here.
Let's start by talking about what you do in your business so our listeners have a frame of reference for who you are, what you do, what your area of expertise is, and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, so I am a manifestation mentor. I'm a breathwork guide. I'm an author and a podcast host. I've done a lot of different things over the course of my business. At one point, was doing lots of in-person stuff and retreats and in-person workshops. Now doing mostly things online, teaching monthly breathwork workshops and creating content and all the things, and just allowing it to evolve as an expression of myself as I evolve, and yeah, having lots of fun doing it.
Everyone's business really is an extension of them. And obviously, when people start to get out of the realm of small business owner and into the realm of CEO founder, or maybe they are migrating from a small to medium sized business into more of a corporation, they lose a little bit of that, but it always still is sort of a part of our own evolutionary journey. But not everybody thinks of it that way. A lot of people have a really distinct separation in their mind between themselves and their own spirituality or their own personal development, their own growth. They know that, yeah, it might help me in my business, but they don't really treat their business like an extension of themselves. And I think as individuals become a little bit more conscious, they recognize that there's not such a clear distinction between the two, and that what we are going through internally is in fact very much affecting our external, affecting and influencing our business. When we're talking about manifestation, then it's just kind of like, oh yeah, obviously, right? Whatever I'm thinking, whatever I'm feeling, law of attraction, law of vibration, all the stuff. But for people who consider themselves maybe a little bit more pragmatic, who don't necessarily have the awareness of just how impactful their own personal inner state is with relation to their business and their success, where do you start with individuals who are sort of just beginning to step into this kind of metaphysical realm?
Yeah, I love that. I feel like, the other day I was creating a list of my favorite books to share because I always get asked book recommendations and I can never remember my favorite books. So I went through Amazon and I went to like 5 years ago, and like I went through all my books. I just searched books in my orders. I'm looking at the kind of books I was reading 5 years ago, which was right before I started my business and dove into the metaphysics and all of that. And it's interesting because I was reading a lot of mindset books, but I didn't really realize at the time because they were titles like leadership and sales. I was working in corporate sales and marketing at the time as a manager. And but they parallel so much. Like whether you're talking like the super practical, the psychology and the science and the, you know, just super like traditional business sense, right? It mirrors what we learn in like the metaphysical world and the woo-woo world. It's like these two sides, but they're teaching the same thing. So I think once people dive into the spirituality a little bit more and learn the laws of the universe, which at times, often at first, seem kind of crazy, like, okay, I've never heard of this, right? What is this? But they do like mirror each other so closely, you
It's
know?
true. It is true. And I think that's how a lot of people make their introduction into universal laws and principles. If we even talk about, I reference Napoleon Hill a lot in interviews because it's almost a business household name, where if you haven't read it, you've heard your mentors or your gurus, or you've heard someone, probably more than one person, talking about it and how it influenced them and how it it transformed their thinking and transformed their life. But that really is a beautiful transitionary type of work for people to start to adopt a different way of looking at the world that they're living in and how they're creating their life and how they're creating their business. But let's jump a little bit deeper into the water, because I don't want to just scratch the surface here. Most of my listeners, if they've been listening to at least a couple of episodes, they know we get a little metaphysical. We go into universal laws and principles and understanding the law of vibration, the law of attraction, and we look at it in a very pragmatic way. But I want to talk about your area of expertise, or one of your areas of expertise, breath work, and how people use that to really start to transform themselves and transform their business.
Yeah, I just am a huge believer that having a strong foundation of a healthy, relaxed nervous system is going to benefit people in any area of life, right? We're talking about health, we're talking about parenting, we're talking about business. Having a relaxed nervous system is a great foundation to start with anything. And then you can build on top of that with the mindset stuff, with manifestation, with affirmation work, right? With putting different things into place. But I think it all really is, it's powerful to start from that really grounded, centered, relaxed place. And to me, breath work is a really powerful tool, especially for, really the average person whose mind is a million places, and relaxing, like relaxing in a meditative position and just doing nothing. It's very, very, very uncomfortable, right? We're doers. People who listen to this podcast, a lot of them might be like, people who find productivity more comfortable than relaxing. And that's, not a natural design of our bodies, of course, but that's the design of our world we're in. So I love breath work because it gives you something to do. It does feel productive. You're doing something. And all that breath work is, for anyone who's not familiar with the term, is just specific breathing patterns. So you're learning these specific ways of breathing, you're breathing in these specific patterns, and it leads you into a meditative state. It leads you into a more relaxed state. There's so many different health benefits. There's so many different, physical benefits and mental benefits, but it really allows you to release repressed emotions and improve your focus and your concentration, your memory, and get you to a really grounded place where then you're a lot more clear to make decisions that are really, really aligned with yourself, versus making decisions from a really hectic, your mind's all over the place, bouncing all over the place, stressed, anxious, right? It really centers you, really grounds you. And I think that's a really powerful tool for business.
I have a feeling people listening who are maybe even a little bit more closed-minded can get behind that idea that regulating my nervous system, feeling more calm, helping me to be more grounded, more centered, more present, allows me to be more productive. It helps me to be a better mom or dad or boss or whatever, right? Whatever role you're playing in that moment. It's kind of intuitive. We get it. When we're stressed out, we're not functioning at our best. We're not on our A game. You're never going to see a super successful professional athlete who is constantly frazzled. You see them trained, they train themselves, they master themselves, they're able to get into that zone state. And that requires self-discipline and self-mastery and understanding that I've got to be in this calm state. Entrepreneurs have sort of this almost like a cliche around them that they are high achievers and they are workaholics and always have way too many things going on at once, and not necessarily, there's not balance, right? How many times are you on social media and you see like the post about work-life balance is a myth and those types of things. And it's almost like we're trying to validate our dysfunction.
Yeah.
But we all can agree it's just we're not our most productive self. Now, I want to take this a step further because it's not just about how am I feeling? Am I calm? Am I thinking clearly? It's about creating a life and a business that you love, that supports you, that honors you, getting yourself to that next level, and then to the level after that, and for that constant desire for evolution and growth. So when you're working with your clients on manifestation, you had briefly mentioned the importance of regulating your nervous system and doing breath work to get yourself into a more optimal state before you start doing those types of things. Let's spend a little bit of time there. I'd like to go there and I'd like to talk about intentional manifestation and the work that you're doing with your clients in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I always work with people initially right off the bat, unless they really have this already an established part of their life, is getting really grounded, is finding times in your day, I don't care if it's 5 minutes twice a day or something like that, to get yourself centered, get yourself peaceful, let go of the constant stream of incessant thinking that drives us in all different sorts of directions, right? And it feels like you have 20 tabs open on your computer. Like, we want to get you to a relaxed place where you can then start to intentionally choose your vibration, which is your energy, which is your mood, right? So, yeah, and then that's what it's all about. It's all about choosing how to feel. It's all about choosing, okay, the version of me that already has XYZ, has already accomplished XYZ, already feels like how would I feel? How would I feel if I already had that? And getting yourself to start to feel into that place through visualization, through making baby steps, subtle changes in your life, that's taking the steps that your next level self would be taking. You know, sometimes it's those big, bold leaps. Sometimes it's little things that we can adjust that position us as that next level version of us. And so it's all about getting into this place where you're aligned, you're aligned with your goals, you know where you want to go, you know who you want to be, and you can feel that version of you in your body, and you're making changes in your life that reflect that, and you are allowing yourself to feel the other emotions as they come up, right? We call them negative emotions, but things like anxiety, things like self-doubt, all those things as they come up, feeling them so that you can let them go, processing them, letting them go, moving back, choosing again. How can I feel into that next level version of me? How can I feel as if it's already easy? What would I be doing? What next step would I take? And taking the action, moving the needle forward in the direction of your goals and dreams with those little baby steps. A lot of it's about accountability, right? A lot of that's why people hire coaches, is to create those action plans and to stay accountable to it, because your mind is going to be saying, is this really going to work? Your mind's going to say anything to keep you in the comfort zone, right? That's its job. So really staying on track with, no, this is where I'm going in life, and that version of me feels this way. What can I do to feel that way?
You mentioned a couple key points, and I want to highlight them. So one of the things that you talked about was getting yourself into the right mental, emotional, vibrational state, releasing the negative emotions, and then bringing yourself back into how would I prefer to feel? What does it feel like when? And really getting yourself to be a match to what it is that you're intending to create for yourself. Then you also talked about action. And there's a lot of confusion around the role of action. A conventional approach is going to be take massive action, massive action, massive action. And you'll even hear some people say, take action even if you're scared or if you're fearful, which is essentially taking action when you're not in your state of alignment, right? Now, sometimes we need to get ourselves moving. So there's a little bit of value in that, but we have to be careful, right? To be mindful of our motivation and our intention when we're taking action. A lot of business owners are taking action from scarcity. They're trying to out action their misalignment. They're trying to out action their limiting beliefs. They're trying to push through their resistance and their fear and their limiting beliefs, and they're not getting good results, which then is further perpetuating the limiting belief that I can't, or it's not working, and I'm not good enough, and it's never going to happen, and all that stuff. And so I want to talk a little bit about the importance of cleaning up your mindset and your energy before you rush off and take actions, not waiting to take action, not just purely visualizing and imagining and then waiting for some kind of miracle to just manifest in your life, because action is the nature of this material reality that we're in. But what are you coaching your clients on when it comes to this balance between having the right mindset and the right energy, and when it is necessary, beneficial, right, to put your foot on the accelerator and just start taking that action?
Yeah, such a good question. Like, this is so, so good. I feel like, yeah, for a lot of people, we do come from that place of, the corporate world, our backgrounds tend to be work a certain number of hours, right? The 40-hour work week. Some believe we need to work more than that. If I want to be successful, I have to work 60 hours a week, right? Workaholicism, perfectionism, all these things play a part. But generally in our culture, it's like, if you want it, you need to just work and keep going and do more. And yeah, I think that what we need to be really aware of is, first of all, my next level self, would she be working that many hours? Like, what is her schedule like? And remembering that we tend to fill up, like if we give ourselves an hour to do a task, we'll typically take the hour, even if it's something that can be done in 15 minutes. But if we give ourselves 15 minutes, we'll get it done in 15 minutes, right? This is like a psychological thing that we do. So being aware of things like that, making sure we're not just filling our time with tasks just to try to produce more, to try to get to that goal, and being more intentional about our time so that we can then also use our time more efficiently to do things like breath work, to do things like the mindset work, to relax, to enjoy life, to allow ourselves to be in the relaxed state where often the divine, intuitive ideas come to us. They're typically not going to come when we're in a frantic state of doing just to do. So being really intentional about it, getting really clear on what are the necessary action steps. I love to have, for myself running my business, I use Google Calendar for everything, like many of us do, and I have tasks each day of the week, and I have the certain business things I like to do on Monday, certain things for Tuesday, certain things for Wednesday, and keep myself kind of on a schedule like that, where, and sometimes obviously other things pop up, but it keeps me, okay, I know I've done what I need to do. So I don't need to sit there and keep thinking of other things I could be doing, right? Which just eats up time and eats up energy. And instead, it's very intentional. Here's how I'm moving the needle forward. Here are my necessary action steps. Am I doing those? Great. If so, then my job then is to relax and trust that I'm doing enough. It's really easy as an entrepreneur. I'm sure you've experienced this, where it's hard to believe you've done enough because you don't have a boss telling you you've done enough, right? There's not necessarily a set list of things you need to be doing. So it's easy then to just want to keep doing and doing and doing and doing, like you said, from a place of scarcity, from that place of fear. So we have to be really intentional with ourselves and get clear on what those necessary action steps are. And once we've done enough, trusting it's enough.
Love it. I want to shift gears a little bit because I want to talk about your podcast. So why don't you share with our listeners a little bit about your podcast, what it's called, what you're talking about on there, and where they can find it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Bare Naked Soul. We are talking about all things entrepreneurship, spirituality, holistic health, manifestation. We are having just the most real and raw conversations that we can possibly have, is my intention. And yeah, it's really whatever I honestly feel like talking about is the topic typically, but just teaching on past experiences, sometimes bringing on guests on occasions, and just deep diving different spiritual topics.
Awesome. And you said it's called Bare Naked Soul, and I assume it's on all of the typical podcast platforms.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. One of the questions that I love to ask my guests is about their own mindset journey as an entrepreneur. We're all a work in progress. It never ends. There's always more work to be done. But I would love to find out if there is maybe one mindset challenge that you personally had to work through and overcome in order to get to where you are today in your business.
Oh my gosh, there's been 7 million. The whole thing, like you were saying in the beginning, we sometimes separate our career, our business from our personal growth. I feel like, yeah, I can see where that happens, but holy crap, the whole thing has been such a spiritual growth journey for me. Let me see if I can think of a really good one. I mean, perfectionism is probably one of the things that held me back for so long, that I've really worked through, and that still pops up. I still notice when I'm in these patterns, or I'll catch myself feeling anxious and bothered by something. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Oh, this is perfectionism creeping back in, right? But largely, working towards overcoming that has helped me so much, because it really hinders creativity. It really hinders us from taking risks, which are very important things for entrepreneurs, right? So yeah, healing perfectionism has been a journey. And for me, it all starts with awareness, getting really aware of the patterns that you have, where it tends to come up, what thoughts tend to come with it, what excuses tend to come with it. So you can start to catch it, and you can start to catch those moments and say, oh, wait a second. Is this a realistic expectation that I have? Or am I trying to be a version of me that is not possible because perfect doesn't exist?
I know there are people who can relate to that. We know that perfectionism is a fairly common challenge for people. There's a lot of emotional stuff there, a lot of insecurities that people have. They're trying to hide those things through what appears to be an external, masterpiece or whatever it is. And I think that even those of us who maybe don't necessarily have full on perfectionism as one of our challenges, we all have it to varying degrees. There's always that little insecurity that pops in, is this good enough? Are people going to judge me? There's so much overlap between a lot of these challenges that we're all experiencing, whether you want to label it imposter syndrome or self-confidence issues or whatever it is. We're all working through it. And I love that you are willing to share what, one of your many challenges have been, because we've all got them. I don't care how much money you have, how successful you appear to be. We're all human. And we want to start to normalize the fact that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. Welcome to planet, Earth, where you're human and imperfect, and you've got some work to do.
It's so true. Yeah. I love illuminating that and letting people know that this is normal. We're all in this journey. We're all experiencing these things. And it doesn't necessarily end, at some point, but you can build so much awareness around it that you can notice when it comes up, and it's so powerful.
Absolutely. All right, Leah, you got to share with our listeners how they can connect with you.
Yeah. Well, come hang out with me on Instagram. I'm at It's Leah Pardee. that's pretty much the best place.
Awesome. This has been a great conversation. We scratched the surface of metaphysics and breath work and all of this stuff. I do encourage people to reach out to you, follow you, learn more about breath work because it is a fantastic technique for helping in life and in business. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thank you to all of our listeners. You know we're doing this for you. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do so. And until next time, we will see you in the next episode.